Company team building. Su Fei drew the big adventure card and kissed my boyfriend of 7 years. He was taken aback, cradling her head and kissing her back. The surroundings fell silent, and everyone turned to look at me. They thought I would make a scene. Instead, I took the lead in applauding. That was great. Do it again. When he turned to look at me, his body stiff. Su Fei, breathless in his arms, said, "Ah, it still tastes the same." He's eyes flashed with confusion and anger. Thinking he had misheard, his gaze quickly became clear as he pushed Su Fei away. He explained to me, "Su Fei and I are just friends. I just mistook her for you." He was the big boss, and no one dared to say a word against him. Someone excused him. Mr. Chin drank too much. It's not surprising he mistook someone. I looked at Su Fei's glossy lips, and her thick eyebrows and big eyes. It seemed that she did indeed resemble someone a bit. She gave me a provocative smile. It seems to say, after all these years with him, so what? I'm back in the country. And he belongs to me. I smirked. The atmosphere is already like this. Should I help you book a big bedroom? He changed his expression. Jiangli, it's just a game. Don't take it too seriously. I broke up with Fei Fei many years ago. And we have no relationship at all. She just joined our company, and the only person she can rely on is me. Can you stop being so petty? As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of those present became somewhat subtle. Everyone here is a professional, having fought their own battles, and I've never heard of anyone who can't survive in the workplace without support. Su Fei smiled and said, "Ah, how can you say that about Jiangli? She's not the kind of person to hold grudges, right?" Jiangli. I remained non-committal. Everyone looked at us with strange expressions. Anyone could see Shinhe's favoritism towards Su Fei, and they didn't understand why it was Shinhe who had made the mistake. That was the one getting angry. I saw a penetrating gaze in Shinhe's eyes that seemed to understand everything. It was as if he anticipated that I would start causing a scene in the next second. In the past, as soon as I faced Su Fei, I would be like a firecracker ready to explode. Shinhe seemed to have gotten used to it, watching me hysterically with cold eyes. Later, I would casually send a gift and ask a concerned question. And I would foolishly forgive everything again. I can no longer remember how many times we have argued since Su Fei returned to the country. During our fiercest fights, I once caused a scene and threatened to run away from home. He sent a text asking where he usually keeps his tie, and effortlessly coaxed me back. Every time during a Cold War, I would be alone in the dark of night, gathering my emotions before going to him, softening my tone to make amends. In this relationship, I loved too much, destined not to be the winner. After all, the one who fell in love first, destined to be inferior. In college, Shinhe was famously known as the campus heartthrob. It was common to see senior and junior girls from the art academy blocking his path, just to get his contact information, but he refused everyone without even furrowing his brows. Yet this unattainable flower suddenly said to me, "Do you want to date me?" I couldn't believe it. Someone else's campus heartthrob had become my boyfriend. I felt like an unknown pawn, but one day I woke up to find a treasure. I was so happy that I felt lost. Yet I was also afraid this was all a dream. It wasn't until I saw his contact information lying in my list that I felt a sense of reality. I worried that he might forget me in the blink of an eye, just out of a moment's whim. So I shared my daily life with him every day. Brought him meals on time, trying to solidify our relationship. But his reaction was always, I didn't think there was anything wrong with this reaction. High mountains and flowers are like this, cold and indifferent to everyone. I firmly believed that as long as I remained enthusiastic, treating him with the same warmth for 10 years, he would surely be warmed by me. But it turned out, he wasn't unresponsive. He was just heating up for others. The people around me nudged me, and I finally snapped back to reality. Only then did I realize that everyone around was looking at me. Shinhee said in a deep voice, Jiangli, if you want to make a scene, go back and do it. Don't ruin the mood here. I don't want to be a third wheel here anymore. Then I'll head back first. After saying that, she no longer looked at Shinhee, whose face was as dark as ink. She picked up her bag and stood up. Su Fei's voice came from behind. Jiangli isn't mad at me again, is she? Shinhee comforted softly. No, it's just her strange temper. Without me, the atmosphere quickly warmed up again. When I closed the door, I saw Shinhee and Su Fei linking arms, drinking from a shared cup. Shinhee has never been this warm towards me outside. Look at how intimate they are. Even if they go to a hotel today, I wouldn't be surprised. After all, they look more like a loving couple. They always reminisce about the sweetness of their romance under the guise of friendship. Those intriguing ambiguities test my limits. As the weather turned cold, Su Fei wore Shinhee's suit jacket. Like hitchhiking, Su Fei insisted on sitting in the passenger seat, feeding Shinhee snacks. They strike the perfect balance. Whenever I get angry, I say I'm overinterpreting. Until now, they indulge in games and slight drunkenness, kissing as if no one else is around at the drinking party. Never before, Shinhee felt that I loved him and couldn't live without him, so he acted without restraint. Before I even left the restaurant, a colleague from my department sent me a message. Sister Jiang, are you really leaving just like that? Aren't you going to keep an eye on President Shin? After you left, they became even more reckless. I silently stared at this message. Can I really keep him in check? After guarding him for so many years, I too will grow weary. Stepping out of the hotel, the biting wind tousled my long hair. It also blew away the burdens that weighed on me. I put my phone on sleep mode and tucked it into my bag. I wrapped my coat tightly and stepped into the cold wind. Suddenly, I realized, it seems I can stop loving Shinhee. I returned to the villa. This is the first property that Shinhee bought after his successful venture. We designed it together, arranging it little by little into its current form. On the coffee table in the living room are the flowers I like. On the shelf next to the sofa, there are the books he likes to read. I have long regarded this place as my home. Just as I love Shinhee, I love this place. I chuckled to myself in self-mockery. They are in a passionate love and do not need my affection. I went upstairs to take a shower and fell asleep as soon as I hit the bed. Around 3 in the morning, I heard a clattering noise downstairs. I knew Shinhee had returned. I thought he wouldn't come back tonight. In the past, he would come back late at night. Drunk from socializing, I would always leave a light on in the living room waiting for him, just to be able to quickly make him some hangover soup and run hot water for his bath. Perhaps it was the sudden darkness that made him a bit unaccustomed. And he tripped. Shinhee pushed the door open, expecting to be met with my hysterical outburst. To his surprise, there was only a room full of silence. This was the first time he had miscalculated. This time, I remained completely calm throughout. I'm so calm that I hardly seem like myself anymore. Shinhee seemed to sense that something was off with me and stood at the foot of the bed. The smell of alcohol mixed with the jasmine fragrance that Su Fei liked. Jiangli, he called out to me, and I pretended to be asleep. He watched me quietly for a few minutes, then let out a cold snort and stumbled out of the room. He slammed the door shut, causing the entire villa to tremble. I knew he was unhappy about my ignoring him. He could be angry without any restraint, because he believed I would always comfort him. The next day, I finished my breakfast. Shinhee rubbed his brow as he came down from upstairs. The headache was a hangover's aftermath. I felt sorry for him and specially learned several recipes for hangover soup. He didn't even lift his eyes as he instructed me. Make another sandwich. Fei Fei really likes them. It's really funny. They really take me for their love servant. Shinhee sat at the table and found it completely empty. Not to mention that there was no breakfast made for Su Fei. Even his own portion was missing. He watched me carrying an empty plate, coming in and out of the kitchen. A rare moment of speaking. I had a bit too much to drink yesterday. Fei drove me back, and with her driving skills, we almost had an accident. I was packing lunch to take to the office. I wasn't paying attention and said without thinking, "Oh, I see. That's great." He frowned at my perfunctory response. If I had known in the past that he almost had a car accident, I would have been so anxious that I would have jumped up and down, insisting on taking him for a full checkup. I was just short of packing him up and tying him to my belt. I didn't expect to be so dismissive. "Stop messing around. Quickly make breakfast for me and Fei. Can I let you sit in the passenger seat later?" He spoke with a tone of helplessness and condescension. In his eyes, I seemed to be just fooling around. I stopped my actions and looked at him. Ever since Fei joined the company, he has been taking a detour to pick her up every day. At first, Fei and I argued endlessly over the front passenger seat. He made the final decision. Fei sits in the front passenger seat. She gets car sick. He didn't consider that I also get motion sickness when he gave up the passenger seat. Now it feels like he's just tossing me a coin, giving me this spot like a charity. But I don't want it anyway. No, thanks. They'll take the subway to work later. He fell silent. I'm afraid they've already forgotten when I started taking the subway. Every day I have to wait for Fei to do her makeup, which causes the three of us to be late every day. It affects my project progress, so I no longer join them. I mainly watched them flirt, and it made me uncomfortable. I continued tidying up, and he continued. "I might be back late tonight." "Okay. It's Fei's birthday, and she doesn't have many friends in Beijing, so she invited me out for a couple of drinks." "Okay." I grabbed my bag and was about to head out. "Jiang Li." He called out to me heavily. I turned back in confusion. He looked at me with an expression of disbelief. "Why didn't you stop me this time?" I tilted my head and looked at him, not knowing what kind of medicine he had taken today. I glanced at my watch. "I'm going to be late. Let's talk about it when I get back." I watched him stand there in a daze, because this was his usual way of treating me, every time our issues remain unresolved. He wears this indifferent expression. It makes me feel like I'm performing a solo act. I try to get angry and argue to catch his attention. He would also casually find an excuse to leave, sometimes not even bothering to offer one. I slammed the door and left, allowing myself to process my emotions alone. The moment I closed the door, I couldn't help but think that avoiding the problem was surprisingly refreshing. No wonder he keeps getting away with it. Today, he treated the entire company to dessert. Colleagues were discussing, "Did we land a new project? Why is President Shin so happy? Do you think it could be that we've completed the annual goals ahead of schedule?" I laughed. They were all wrong in their guesses. Today is Fei's birthday. He wanted to treat someone to a meal, so he used the excuse of treating the entire company to dessert. It might also be to cheer Fei up. But none of that matters to me anymore. I didn't expect to receive a message from He in the afternoon. "Is the little cake delicious?" When I saw this message, I was taken aback. I was wondering if he had sent it to the wrong person. I looked at the table, where the mango mousse cake had already melted. Only then did I realize it was from that dessert shop I really liked, which isn't cheap and requires queuing. He really goes all out for Fei. I didn't intend to reply to him, and another message popped up. "The blueberry flavor you like." I scoffed. He really did send it to the wrong person. What's on my desk is mango flavor. The blueberry flavor that was sent to me earlier was swapped out by Fei. She came to my workstation. "Oh." I was wondering where my blueberry cupcake went. Turns out it's right here. This is the one he specially picked for me. This flavor is their signature. After saying that, she tossed a box onto my desk. It sat there all day, and I didn't touch it. I can't eat it now, and am allergic to mangoes. I threw it into the trash can. When I looked up, I saw Shinhee standing in front of me, staring at me intently. He glanced at me, then at the trash can, his lips pressed into a straight line. Shinhee's office is on a high floor. He rarely comes to the project department. I wonder why he is here. Soon, this question had an answer. Su-fei happily linked her arm with Shinhee. I told you to wait for me in the garage. Coming to the office to find me is not a good influence. I hadn't said anything yet, but the surrounding murmurs were already echoing. They are all people I brought up myself. Naturally, they disapprove of Su-fei's behavior. Shinhee cast a cold glance around. It was quiet all around. Since leaving the company, Shinhee had not returned all night. If it were before, I would have been lost in thought, frantically calling him, questioning where he had gone. But this time I didn't. I went to sleep and went to work as usual. To my surprise, he didn't come to the office the next day, and Su-fei didn't come either. That night, when Shinhee returned home, I had just finished dinner and was going upstairs. He tightened his grip on my hand and asked, "Aren't you going to ask me where I went?" I looked at him calmly and replied, "How would you like me to ask?" He suddenly got angry. "Jiang Li, you weren't like this before." I thought for a moment and nodded. "Well, you used to be like me." He lowered his gaze and softened his tone. "I drank a bit too much yesterday and slept at the hotel. Nothing happened between Fei and me." After saying that, he looked a bit wronged. "I drank so much, yet you wouldn't even call me." I don't know what act he is putting on. In the past, he clearly found it annoying when I called him. His look of "there's nothing to see here" is really quite funny. The next day, I received a message from Su-fei, a pregnancy checkup report. 8 weeks pregnant. A photo of Shinhee accompanying Su-fei to the hospital for her prenatal checkup. I froze in place. It turns out he didn't come to the office yesterday because he was accompanying Su-fei for her prenatal checkup. Although I was a bit shocked, I still accepted this fact. There had been signs between them for a long time. Hadn't there? I was surprised that nothing happened. I typed a reply to Su-fei. "We just got together the night before last, and today it happened. That's really fast." The reply came back quickly. "Can't you see the date? Have you forgotten which day it is? Let me help you remember. It's your anniversary day." What is she joking about? Clearly, that day Shinhee took the time to spend this anniversary with me, although he had always been indifferent to this date, finding it meaningless. He rarely complied with my wishes. That day I had a fever and quickly fell asleep. He rarely showed me a bit of patience. He stayed by my bedside, fed me medicine, and wiped my sweat. At that moment, even though I was sick, my heart was sweet. I thought that after all these years, I had finally warmed him up, and he was starting to express his love. I woke up thirsty from a fever in the middle of the night. I found that he wasn't sleeping beside me, and when I called for him, there was no sign of him. I thought he had just gone downstairs to boil some water. So I waited for him, but it wasn't long before I fell into a deep sleep again. Was it that day? The candied fruit that day was mixed with arsenic. In the middle of the night, he went to find Su-fei. They had a child. Should I say congratulations and then politely excuse myself? "Jiang Li, you will congratulate me, right?" Su-fei sent another message. I no longer care. I focused all my attention on the project that was about to wrap up. Gradually, I pushed this matter to the back of my mind, until lunchtime, when Shinhee came to me with the sobbing Su-fei. Shinhee threw the phone onto my desk. With a loud bang, everyone in the office was startled. On the phone, there were the 2 photos Su-fei had just sent me. "Jiang Li, did you do all this?" I looked at him, his face full of anger, not understanding why. Am I not able to get her pregnant? I looked at Shinhee in confusion. Could such a thing be turned against me? Shinhee took a deep breath. "I'm talking about you posting about Fei's pregnancy on the company forum." I was puzzled. Why would I do that? It's not my child. So why should I go around announcing it? I have no motivation at all. If it wasn't you, then who else could it be? Feifei told you about the pregnancy. Don't you know? Doesn't she know herself? On what basis do you think it was me? Who else could it be? Who else would go to such lengths to ruin her reputation? I laughed in anger. Why do you think it's me? He would unconditionally trust Su Fei. And he would unconditionally doubt me for Su Fei. What do you mean I ruined her reputation? I don't accept this accusation. If she hadn't done those things, would her reputation be ruined? What else did Shinhe want to say? But he was interrupted by Su Fei. Jiang Li, I'm really happy about your pregnancy. Besides He. I don't know anyone else in the company, so I wanted to share this good news with you. I scoffed coldly. Well, you really know how to pick someone to share with. Is it that you can't find your dad or your mom to share this with? In the end, you shared it with your rival. You think I won't deal with a mistress, right? Her small face was pale. She whispered in disbelief. Jiang Li, I truly consider you a friend. Truly consider me a friend. Like the kind of friendship with Shinhe. A lip friendship. A good friend relationship that can have children. Jiang Li hid in Shinhe's arms, crying like a rain-soaked pear blossom. Shinhe could no longer bear it. Enough. You don't even know what Feifei has been through, and you still treat her like this. How can you be so cruel? Cruel. 7 years of dating. His evaluation of me can be summed up in 2 words. Malicious. What she has been through has nothing to do with me. When Shinhe heard me say this, his tone grew even colder. I give you until the end of today to delete the post. Or you can get out of the company. After they left, I slumped in my seat. Tears finally streamed down my face. This post clearly wasn't posted by me. How can I delete it? Shinhe actually wants to expel me from the company. It's important to know that this company is not solely his effort. It has also absorbed all of mine. When he started his business, I stood by him unwaveringly. I accompanied him while he nibbled on steamed buns. I shared a basement with him. The first entrepreneurial venture failed. I worked 3 part-time jobs a day to help him pay off his debts. I started working in the project department when the company was first established. Day in and day out. I worked diligently and climbed up to the position of project manager. Shinhe appointed Su Fei to parachute in as the deputy manager. In just one evening, Su Fei has completed the path I took for several years. It turns out she was waiting for me here. She wants to kick me out of the company and give the manager position to Su Fei. Colleagues around me, they gathered around, chattering and trying to comfort me. The mistress is so brazen with the cheating man. I just wonder what President Shen thinks. How can Su Fei compare to Sister Jiang? Sister Jiang, please don't cry. I know they meant well. I appreciated their kindness and sent them back to their desks to work. I didn't stay sad for long and continued to handle the tasks at hand. Until the end of the workday. Tomorrow is the weekend. Just in time to move. This week. I've already taken the time to find a place online. I've already discussed it with the landlord. And I can move in tomorrow. My luggage is almost packed. Apart from my clothes, I didn't bring anything else. When it comes to breaking up, it's only natural to keep things clear. Tonight. Shinhe also didn't go home. This is his usual behavior after we argue. Anyway, he has plenty of assets under his name, so he always has somewhere to go. Unlike me, who can only stay in this empty villa. Now I am no longer willing to stay. On Monday, the day I went to work, Shinhe sent me a text message. Post. Why haven't you deleted it yet? If I delete it, it won't end well. I looked at this message and fell silent. So it seems. Shinhe didn't love Su Fei that much after all. She was scolded for 2 days straight. I heard someone even uploaded this incident online. The comments section was full of spectacular insults directed at Su Fei. However, I've been very busy these past 2 days and haven't looked at it much. In the end, I still patiently replied to Shinhee. It wasn't sent by me. How can I delete it? Did I forget to tell you we broke up? Let me make up for it now. Shinhee. Let's break up. I had intended to talk to him about it in person last night, but no matter how long he waited, he couldn't wait for him to come home. This is fine too. Before even entering the office, he heard Shinhee roar in anger. Where is Jiangli? Why hasn't she come yet? I had just pushed the door open when I was startled, stumbling and nearly falling. Beside me, Han Mo quickly steadied me. Are you okay? Your face is so pale. Is something wrong? If you're not feeling well, just go back and rest. I shook my head to refuse him. Shinhee stood up abruptly upon seeing us. He stared intently at our intertwined arms. How did you two end up together? Jiangli, come here. I nodded in greeting to him and took a seat at the Han group's table. Shinhee stared at me with wide eyes. What do you mean? That's the location of the Han group. I nodded. Then I haven't taken a wrong seat. Are you going to help the Han group and go against me? Han Mo has always been Shinhee's archrival. The two of them are in the business world. They often fight to the death. Now that I stand on Han Mo's side, I wouldn't be surprised if Shinhee is shocked. You forgot. I've already resigned. I completed the handover of my resignation on Friday. He said I couldn't delete the post, so I should get out of the company. It's considered a dismissal. And I should still be compensated. Shinhee was left speechless. Why not just delete the post? Besides, I was just saying that in anger. I certainly didn't take those words as just anger. I stopped responding to him. Han Mo brought me a cup of hot water. Are you feeling any better? Where do you feel uncomfortable? I brought you here to work for me, and I certainly don't want you to end up in the hospital as soon as you arrive. I smiled and gestured that I was fine. Han Mo frowned. You're still fine. Huh. Look at your little face. It's as pale as a ghost. I clearly put on a full face of makeup today and even applied blush. How could my face be so pale? Shinhee sat at the table across from us, staring intently. His expression was as dark as if he had just caught his wife cheating. The bidding meeting began. On the Shin side, Su Fei is leading the bidding, while on the Han side, I am in charge. I have been responsible for these matters in the company before. How long has Su Fei been with the company? Besides, she doesn't have any real substance. She has hardly attended the bidding meetings, and her speeches are halting. In the end, it was no surprise that the Shin group won the bid. Su Fei stopped me. Jiangli, how did you end up at the Shin group? Do you know that you violated the non-compete agreement? I crossed my arms and looked at her. Isn't this thanks to you? And by the way, I never signed a non-compete agreement. Previously, I signed a regular employee contract when I joined the company. Shinhee never thought I would leave him, and I never thought I would resign. So we didn't sign a non-compete agreement between us. Su Fei looked at me with righteous indignation. But you are going too far. Knowing that Han Group is Shin's rival, you still help them deal with us. How could you do this? Being He's girlfriend. I smiled faintly. Isn't this all thanks to you? Shinhee stepped forward. Han Mo instinctively stood in front of me. Seeing this, Shinhee clenched his jaw, so angry that he repeated good 3 times. All right, Jiangli, don't regret it. After saying that, he pulled Su Fei away, but they ran into them again in the garage. At that time, Han Mo was carrying me into the car. Shinhee opened the car door in a fit of rage. His bloodshot eyes were fixed on the two of us. Jiangli, you've been involved with him for a long time, haven't you? That's why you couldn't wait to follow him as soon as you left your job. I peeked out from Han Mo's embrace. Looking at him, he said lightly, Oh, if you want to think that way, there's nothing I can do. Shinhee was even more annoyed by my indifferent tone. Our roles had reversed. I was simply treating him the way he treated me. So, he can't stand it either. The daughter was fanning the flames beside them. I I told you before. Jiangli looks obedient. But she's quite flirtatious behind the scenes. Enough. Who do you think you are to talk about my girlfriend? He rarely got fierce with Su Fei. Ah he. How can you be so fierce to me? Su Fei's small face turned pale. Tears rolling down. Han Emo looked back at them after carrying me into the car, raising an eyebrow and chuckling. President Shen, you mustn't wrong the good people. I did indeed contact Jiangli multiple times before. As soon as these words were spoken, Shen He changed his expression. He grabbed Han Mo's collar. Shen He, you have the ability to say it again. Han Emo maintained his smile. But she has rejected all of them. You know, she is very loyal to you and the Shen group. But it's all thanks to you giving her the opportunity. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to win her over. Shen He was stunned in place upon hearing this. Han Emo pushed him aside and straightened his disheveled collar. He patted his shoulder and said, "Thanks, President Shen." As the car drove away, it could be seen in the rearview mirror. Shen He was still standing in place. Han Emo looked at me, concern in his voice. Sorry for the delay. Are you okay? I'll take you to the hospital. I pressed my hand against my stomach, the pain causing the carefully applied makeup to run with cold sweat. It was on the third day of my hospitalization that Shen He discovered I had moved out. It wouldn't be difficult for him to find me, even though I have blocked all his contact information. When he rushed to the hospital room, he was out of breath. His face was a mix of panic and joy. When he saw me on the hospital bed, his expression was somewhat complicated. Ollie, are you okay? Is something wrong? He looked at me, guilt flashing across his face. You should have told me earlier. If you had told me earlier, we wouldn't have argued. I frowned and looked at the crumpled pregnancy test slip he was holding. I understood in my heart. It was the one I had left on the bedside table. It was discovered on the day of the company team building event, and I wanted to tell him a surprise. But it wasn't as big a surprise as the one he gave me. Later, I placed the list in a prominent position. But he never noticed it even once. At first, I still held on to some fantasies, wondering if he would love me a little if he found out that we had 2 children together. I am willing to give our 7-year chance. Later, I realized it was unnecessary. There are plenty of people to have his children, even without Su Fei. There are Li Fei and Zhang Fei. There's no need to keep entangling with him. Let him go, and let yourself go too. What good does it do to tell you? Don't you already have a child with Su Fei? When did I have a child with her? The child in her belly isn't mine. Shen He hurriedly denied it. Oh, I see. What a pity. Jiangli, what do you mean? Do you think the child in her womb is mine? It doesn't matter anymore. I looked out the window. No longer looking at him, Shen He panicked, grabbing my hand. What do you mean it's not important? The truth and you are no longer important to me. Shen He's voice was a bit hoarse. Don't joke around. You're carrying my child. We will get married and be a couple. I have been with him for 7 years, and I started to think more about marrying him. He said to establish a career before starting a family, so we were busy with our entrepreneurial ventures. Later, when we had a business, he said the foundation was unstable, so we were busy striving for success. Once the foundation was stable, Su Fei appeared again. He never even promised me that he would marry me. It was my one-sided wish to follow him. He actually fell in love with Su Fei, and I chose to let him go. I broke free from his hand. There's nothing left. The child is gone, and I won't marry you. On the day of the move, I took the time to go to the hospital. Shen He's expression froze. What do you mean? You hit the child. How cruel of you. I remained silent, and he stared at me intently, as if he wanted to bore a hole through me with his gaze. Why? Why are you doing this? Because of Fei Fei. I've told you so many times. I have nothing to do with her. The child in her belly is not mine. I looked at him calmly. Then on the company forum. Everyone is speculating about your relationship with her. Why don't you explain? This concerns Feifei's reputation. I laughed. Her reputation is a reputation, but mine is not. So you still think it was me who put her on the forum? I showed him the message she sent me. He was not the least bit surprised, which indicated that Su Fei had contacted me about this matter. He was in the know. October 23rd. Is our anniversary. Where did you go that night? Shin He averted his gaze, unable to look at me. So if you don't check, you think I put her on the forum? He retorted. Because it can't be herself. You don't know what he suffered. He raised his voice. I told you where I went that night. She called that night and said that she was being followed. And if you hadn't pestered me, she wouldn't have been defiled by those scum. I froze. Can I be blamed for this? That night I had a fever so high I was almost delirious. And I didn't even notice whether he answered the phone. But why should I? Why should the blame be placed on me? She won't call the police. Or is it you who won't call the police? Shen He, do you really have to be so ridiculous? Just because you couldn't save her in time. Your conscience can't take it. So you need to find someone to take the blame. So you choose to push all the blame onto me, when clearly I did nothing. The truth was exposed. He was furious and embarrassed. But we didn't blame you, did we? I was really so angry that I laughed. It seems like I'm seeing clearly for the first time the person I've loved for so many years. It turns out to have such a background. In the end, we parted ways unhappily. Later, the IP of that post was revealed to be Su Fei's own. This incident caused an uproar throughout the company. The technician who exposed this matter came to seek refuge with me. Jiang Jia, you have to take me in. I pinched the bridge of my nose, feeling quite helpless. All right. Having one more of you doesn't make a difference, and losing one less doesn't matter either. Recently, quite a few people from my former company have come looking for me. Most of them were old employees from when the company was first established. Everyone has seen how Shin He conducts himself and handles matters. After the company got off the ground, he became increasingly adept at embodying the boss demeanor. Meanwhile, I remained at the bottom, leading the team on projects, unknowingly winning over quite a few hearts. Most of the people from the team before have left with me. Now, only Su Fei is left in the project department. A lone commander. I have recovered my health while resting at home. The security facilities in this community are quite good. Shin He shouldn't have found out that I live here. I didn't expect him to be waiting downstairs at the company. As soon as I stepped out of the lobby, I saw him walking towards me. Ollie. I really didn't know that Su Fei posted it on the forum herself. Can you forgive me? I put my hands in my pockets. Don't know, or unwilling to know, afraid it might tarnish Su Fei's image in his mind. He didn't even want to investigate. You should know. It's something internal to the company. It's just a matter of a word from Shin He. I didn't want to waste time entangling with him again. As I tried to walk past him, he grabbed my arm. What about you, Jiang Li? She didn't even admit the child is mine. But you believed her and even got rid of our child. I looked at his stern profile and noticed his eyes were red-rimmed. Yes. Because I don't want to trust you. Just like you don't trust me. Is there a problem with that? He looked hurt. Why are you treating me like this? Does this way feel familiar? You always treat me like this. It was my turn to treat him this way. And he wasn't happy about it. People really are double standards. Shin He was staring at me, trying to find traces of love for him in my eyes. But he failed. Feeling utterly dejected. Ollie, please stop messing with me. Will you come back? I promise I won't contact her again. I really don't love her anymore. Back when I was at my lowest, she abandoned me to go abroad with another man. Now that I've finally become the person she wanted to cling to, I just want to regain a bit of vanity in front of her. Ollie, the only person I love is you. I was in a daze. As if this was the first time in all these years of being with him. Hearing him say he loved me, after I no longer loved him. I remembered that previously Su Fei had heard that Shinhee had become successful, and she rushed back from abroad. Getting hot and heavy with Shinhee, his business partner asked him, since he was in love with Su Fei, why he was still with me. How did he respond at that time? He said that when Su Fei left him, she was unwilling to endure the hardships of starting a business with him. So he found someone who could share the struggles with him to show her. Over the years, I have indeed endured quite a bit of hardship with him. He won a round with Su Fei there. No wonder he suddenly got together with me in college. He should have known that I was working my way through school while juggling several jobs. He must have carefully selected me, knowing that I could endure the most hardship. I chuckled at myself. The part of enduring hardship has ended. The part of enjoying blessings is not for me. Let him find whoever he wants. It has nothing to do with me anymore. I pushed his hand away. But I don't love you anymore. Shinhee. I strode forward. The hem of my clothes brushed past his palm. This brief pause will not lead to any more intersections. Just like between us. 7 years of love. A light and airy curtain call. It seems to have little impact on my life. Just moved to a different place to continue living. Moved to a different place to continue working. It seems there isn't much difference. Life can go on without anyone. At first. When I discovered the ambiguous relationship between Shinhee and Su Fei, I argued and made a fuss. I also doubted myself. I began to doubt myself, wondering if I was really that inadequate. So it took 7 years for me to realize that I couldn't make Shinhee fall in love with me. Later, I discovered that it wasn't like that at all. He never loved me from the very beginning. This relationship is a celebration for me alone. Do I hate it? I ask myself. At first, there was a bit of that, not knowing why they treated me that way. Later, I let it go. The person is someone I chose. And it's also someone I want to love. Love is a process. It's an enjoyment. But it is certainly not a result. I can afford to love. And I can afford to lose. Moreover, over the years of starting a business with Shinhee, I have learned quite a bit. Otherwise, as a girl who grew up in the countryside, I wouldn't have reached such a high position. Han Emo walked to my side, standing with me in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the entire city. What's there to see? Manager Jiang has landed a big project again. Shall we go for a drink after work? This project was snatched from the Shin family. Mainly, Shinhee's company can no longer handle large cases. Since I left, many of the old employees in the company have lost their enthusiasm. Many people have followed me, worried that Shinhee would kill the donkey after the grind, including quite a few core members. His company is now a scattered mess, with several projects falling through and losing a significant amount in penalties. I heard they can't even secure funding anymore. If they can't get things in order and survive this crisis, they'll have no choice but to apply for bankruptcy reorganization. At first, he would occasionally come to find me, saying that he had fired Su Fei and wanted me to return to the company, offering me shares. No matter how good the conditions he offers, I will not change my mind again. Just like when I started a business with him before. It wasn't for wealth, but for this person. Now that his company is in a critical situation, with the fire burning at his eyebrows, he naturally has no time to look for me anymore. As for Su Fei, after being expelled, what she posted on the company forum was leaked online. It trended and was condemned across the internet. Many people came forward to criticize her. Being a third party is not new for her. Since she started college, she has been living as a professional mistress. The reason for going abroad was that the wealthy sponsor's wife discovered her existence, and the sponsor had no choice but to send her away. Unexpectedly, her exploits abroad were also exposed, and she was living extravagantly. Now she has become a rat that everyone wants to catch. She had no choice but to seek help from Shinhee. At this moment, Shinhee realized that the white moonlight he had been longing for was all an illusion. The two had a dispute, and Shinhee pushed Su Fei down the stairs. Su Fei fell and became paralyzed. And Shinhee was sued by Su Fei's family. He was sentenced to 10 years. I didn't go to the trial. Passing by the Shin Corporation, I saw the company sign had been taken down. I felt a pang in my heart. Han Mo crossed his arms and stood beside me, teasing, "What's wrong? Can't bear to leave your old boss." Is General Jiangning Chao's camp but his heart in Han's? His teasing washed away the nostalgia that had risen in my heart. I curled my lips into a smile. Well, now it's settled. The old boss is gone. General Han doesn't have to worry about me running away, right? Han Mo laughed as well. That's true. Then let's go have a drink. I raised an eyebrow. All right. Though I have been hurt by love, I am not afraid. I have the ability to rush towards mountains and seas. I also rush towards the next courage of love.